戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is January 21st, 2026. We are live on episode 909. And today, it's the Davos ritual. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
It is the eve of the founding of the CIA.
Oh, CIA Eve.
Yeah.
Is this when we need to leave out some cookies for who? I don't know. Christopher Wray, or is that the FBI? Or
Yeah,
it's
it's
James
FBI.
Comey? Is he
No,
gonna come by, slide down our chimney and eat our cookies?
I think if we can, just leave a cookie out for the top 50 conservative podcasters, because I think over half of them are CIA.
Yeah, right. Got to leave out cookies for Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 1946. President Harry S. Truman issued a directive, often described as the executive letter, establishing the National Intelligence Authority, or NIA, and the CIG at the time, the Central Intelligence Group. We'll talk about groups today. The CIG is widely treated as the CIA's direct institutional predecessor. That's according to CIA.gov. So, yeah, there you go. That was January 22nd, 1946. Just coming out of World War II.
You share a birthday with the CIA?
Listen, I'm starting to come to the realization that I just might be a CIA op,
Have we not noticed this before? I don't recall
I've noticed it.
noting this before.
Oh, I've noticed.
Does it
yeah.
say CIA birthday and Gon's birthday on the same day?
Yes, it does on the
calendar.
It does. It says Gonz's birthday. It's got my face with the Illuminati hat on, birthday hat, and then it says answer your cat's question day. So it's also answer your cat's question day, and 1947 CIA founded. So
wow, another reason why you got to get the Canary Cry calendar. Patterns begin to reveal themselves that even I have not noticed before. All right, well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to the CIA. and go ask your cat questions. Apparently, tomorrow.
Maybe
It will be
I'm
Canary
the
Cry Clubhouse.
polemic. What's that?
It will be Canary Cry Clubhouse Day, so we can throw you a
Oh,
party.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll call in. Maybe I'll call in on my birthday. Yeah. You know what? I am not prepared for today's episode because I went to a little mini conference thing this morning. And so I'm just going to follow your lead today, Basil.
Yeah, so don't worry. You're safe with me, as I tell everybody on Clubhouse as well. It was funny because trying to put together today's episode, both you and myself, we kind of gather things throughout the week to bring to the show on show days. And I'm reminded every year that the Davos episode, whatever episode comes right in the middle of the week of Davos, that we have the choice is made for us. There is no choice. There's never any news whatsoever worth covering, because the Davos stuff just kind of fills the attention gap, I guess.
It's a good.
I was just gonna say, everybody just like takes a break and nobody pulls off any operations. Nobody, all the mass shooters stay home. All the
right. Yeah. When it comes to that stuff,
sure. Take a day off.
It's now it's a good indicator of where the alt media world is at. Because this is the World Economic Forum in Davos. And things like Bilderberg meetings and stuff have been the target or the discussion of conspiracy theorists for many years. It's almost like an annual ritual of conspiracy theorists to look at.
Like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like the Super Bowl. You're right. Yeah.
Not even just the Super Bowl of conspiracy theorists, because of course we have the Super Bowl of conspiracy theorists, but then we have the Super Bowl, which also happens to be the Super Bowl of conspiracy theorists. And then, the week of Davos, the CIA birthday, it's all great. It all comes together.
All comes together. Yep. So, I just, I think it'll be interesting to see how the people, are we having delay issues? We're like talking over each other.
I don't know. I was gonna get moving, but we do have one piece of news. That dropped today that was not Davos related. It is an update from a story on Monday regarding Bill and Hillary Clinton. I'm over here at the New York Post.
Is that Hillary Clinton, the glass ceiling breaker?
I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will.
Well, that wasn't the jingle version of it.
Wasn't the jingle version. I think that one's called Firmament Buster.
Well, that's what this is labeled too. But,
the headline is House Committee finds Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress after skipping Epstein depositions. So we did get the news on Monday that they were considering that. They were threatening that. There was a lot of doubt that it would actually happen. But here we are. Here's the update. A House committee voted on a bipartisan basis Wednesday to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress, teeing up a full vote in 2 weeks' time in the lower chamber that could result in criminal charges. The House Oversight Committee voted 34-8 to hold the 42nd president in contempt for refusing to comply with their subpoena to testify about his relationship with deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. The resolution stated that Bill Clinton impeded an oversight committee investigation into the government's handling of probes into Epstein. That's very interesting. So it's the investigation into the government's handling of probes, not even an investigation into Epstein himself.
It's something to behold with the image they have here. It's the House Oversight Committee, James Comer speaking in front of posters with photos of Bill Clinton from the Epstein documents released by the DOJ, I guess a few weeks ago or whatever, during one of those dumps. And it's that one picture of Bill Clinton in the jacuzzi, like his hands behind his head. He's like leaned back, and there's some underage gal that's got her face blacked out. I mean, it's one thing to see it on your timeline of like conspiracy or I don't know, citizen journalists trying to break down all the stuff that's released, but it's a whole nother thing to see it at the actual House Oversight Committee meeting with a huge
Yeah,
poster of
right.
Bill Clinton in a pool from the Epstein files. So
Yeah.
not a good look. And actually, for long-term Democrats, it's probably good to take down some of the more nefarious sorts of public-facing figures for the Democrat Party. So maybe that's why there's
Well,
a little
and
bit more.
it's interesting. It does also kind of coincide with a little bit of the vibe at Davos. We'll of course
Yeah,
get some of this vibe, but the broad vibe, at least on the X feed from people Q and Q adjacent, is like, this is it. He's taking out the trash. The
the
arrests are coming.
swamp is being drained.
Yeah, the whole thing, of course, this pops up, and it's kind of interesting to at least now. Again, these are just the votes from the committee.
House committee.
Now,
Yeah.
once
So
it
it's
goes
more.
from it will go from committee to actually be voted in the House, and then I don't even know if it needs to go one more vote after that. But this will at least bring the vote in 2 weeks' time. And there's 2 separate votes, one for Hillary, one for Bill. Both of them passed. Of course, it mentions here they've denied all wrongdoing, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you
And
think
the
they're still
concern-
alive? We have not seen them publicly in quite a while. I feel
That's a
like
good question.
Hillary was out maybe a month or 2 ago. There might have been like a little clip that she did with an interview or something, but yeah, they've been very quiet on the public
Well,
front.
Bill's
So
very old and very unhealthy. He's not
yeah,
looking good. I'd be surprised.
they're running
Now,
out
of
of
course,
good
they
blood.
said they could not come to their hearing because there was a funeral they had to go to.
That's
Which, of
right.
course, these two have a very special skill, and that is whenever they conveniently need a funeral to go to, suddenly a funeral arrives. They just tend to have people in their lives die at opportune times. So I don't know exactly whose funeral it was, but may they rest in peace. Now, the New York Post article does get into the comparison when it comes to contempt of Congress with Peter Navarro and what's his face, the Steve Bannon, who were both held in contempt of Congress during the
Right.
Biden administration for not showing up.
Not
Now,
showing up.
they had some reasoning. Their reasoning that they invoked was executive, what is it called? Executive privilege, meaning that whatever they're being called to the House to testify on was protected under the executive branch, privilege that they don't necessarily are required to come publicly testify about executive branch business. That did not fly at the time during the Biden administration, so they both went to jail. But it is noted that Bill and Hillary Clinton did not invoke any reason. They did not invoke executive privilege. They did not invoke any good reason. Simply
I don't
that
think they thought they had to. They're the Clintons.
a
They are
last
above.
right, a last minute funeral was their
Yeah, go
So,
kill some people.
I don't think anybody is necessarily holding their breath for any serious consequences. With
I
something like
think the
this.
entire Q Nation is holding. This is their moment. They've been waiting 10 years for this.
If they are prosecuted and convicted, they would only serve up to a year in prison for this particular thing, but not less than 1 month in jail and be fined between $100 and $1,000.
A very unpopular take is we should be praying for the souls of Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. Should it be something that is redeemable? We should be praying for him because in terms of worldly justice, there is no amount of worldly justice that will justify the
Correct.
corruption and maybe the damage and murder and all the stuff that they've probably been behind. So hard position to take, unpopular position to take, but
Gotta
that
do
is
it. Gotta
position.
do it.
So,
It's supposed to be hard. That's why.
Can you
Christ
imagine having
do that?
you show up to heaven and the first 2 people you see are Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein? And it's just like,
That'd
what
be
happened?
quite the test. Quite
Quite
the test.
the test. Am I in heaven? Or maybe this is not.
Yeah. Did I mess up along the
Did
way?
I mess up?
All right. So let's go to Davos here. And to give us an intro into Davos, we'll remember the ultimate sort of Emperor Palpatine on the global
Character.
stage, our good, close personal friend of the show, Klaus Schwab,
We
who, if you'll
need a
remember,
great reset.
Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
who you'll remember a year or two ago actually was unseated from leadership at the World Economic Forum. It was his, I mean, he
Wait.
basically built the World Economic Forum. This was his project.
If I recall, I remember him stepping down, but still being on the board. And then did he leave the board too?
That's
Did
a
he
good
get out of the
question.
board?
We might need to dig
I
deeper
think-
into
I
that.
think
But he
he-
was at least,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think maybe he was still on the board, but he was taken out of being the chairman or the president or whatever. But
Right.
it was because he and his family were being, I don't know if prosecute is the right word, but were being
Chastised.
accused of all sorts of financial malfeasance when it came to the World
Yeah, there was
Economic.
like financial, there was a little bit of like some workplace inappropriateness accusations
Yes,
which,
correct, right.
going on and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty
So
typical.
it's kind of funny. In some vaguely unofficial appearances, Klaus Schwab did at the beginning of the week post just like a little intro video, like, hey, he didn't seem to be, I don't recall seeing any World Economic Forum logos on the video. I think it was just kind of like
It's a reflex. It's a reflex. The time of the year comes around, he can't help himself. He has to like get in front of a camera and talk. Yeah.
But there was another appearance. This appearance looked like it was on something called Open Book, which, of course, we know the World Economic Forum knows that nobody trusts them. Nobody trusts the elites. They need more transparency. Populism reigns. And so the elites know that they're in big trouble. So whatever this Open Book program is, it's very well sort of marketed to give the impression that they are, well, an open book. Now, let's listen to this little clip, and maybe you guys might agree with me. It sort of sounds like Klaus Schwab is admitting he's a vampire and has been alive and ruling the world since the time of Babylon, and that the Dark Masters, flow through him, and that he will reign forever for 1,000 years as a cloud of chaos reigns over the earth. That's just what it sounds like to me. But let's play it, and you guys can be the judge.
I think that we are losing a narrative which has guided humankind since its beginning. It's the narrative that you are here and you owe your existence also to prepare a better future. If you go back to the agricultural society, even to the beginnings during the whole time of the industrial society, there was this drive to create a better world for the future. Today, with all the crises which we have, with the multitude of problems we are confronted with, I think we have become much more egocentric on an individual and also on a national way. That makes international cooperation so much more difficult, by the way. And I think we have to think about how we recreate this narrative. And here, I have to say, I'm quite optimistic.
Oh,
He's quite
okay.
optimistic, so don't
Quite
worry.
optimistic. So he's talking about narratives too.
His narrative, he said, is his narrative has been around since the beginning of humankind's existence. Okay, so he's saying right there, back to the garden. All right, so he was there in the garden. I don't know exactly what he was doing there or what form he was taking, but he's talking about how you owe your life to create a future, some like human sacrifice vibes in there. This talks about since the beginning of agricultural societies, and for anybody who's done their research both into human history and also biblical history, the beginning of agricultural societies, even a secular not architect, what are they called? Archaeologist will tell you, goes back to about the Tower of Babel. It goes back to about the time where humans found out they could stay in one spot and they could create farms, and everybody can come live together in one big society. And if they work together and put away, I can't do it. Put away their self-interest and sacrifice their lives to the better good, then they can build a giant tower tall enough to reach the heavens. And we all know how that ended there. So I thought that was a pretty good intro from Klaus Schwab.
Yeah, I mean, that's later in history, even with the Tower of Babel, because you had the Watchers come down and teach mankind all kinds of things for civilization. Genesis 4 actually outlines the lineage of Cain, and it certainly seems that they were figuring all. It matches the things that the Watchers were teaching according to the first book of Enoch there. So, you can kind of correlate, like, hey, making weapons and polygamy and all this. It's a very parallel. Yeah, a lot of the technology for war and stuff like that. So, or for farming and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think Klaus is admitting that either he is a reincarnate of one of these Watchers, or maybe he is a Watcher. He's he does make it sound like he is.
He says we're really getting off track.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're in the era of transparency, so why not? The alien disclosure is already halfway done with the governments. I mean, might as well come out, Klaus. Just let us know. We'll still pray for you, I guess.
That's right. Now, we did have some breaking news. This just popped about 25 minutes ago. We're going to go through a series of exciting events at Davos, but one very exciting one came. I don't know if you had a chance to load this one, Gons. It came in during the intro music, but it is our third link from the top there. Oh wait, no, I'm lying. Second one. The Davos smoke clip.
Okay, yes, I have it right here.
Okay, so this one, just as a up-to-date update, says, Justin, people are being evacuated from the main venue at the World Economic Forum after a strange odor began causing people to cough. It's unclear the air. And then they make a comment about they need to bring President Trump home. So let's hear some. I have not watched this with sound on, so I don't know what the sound is, but we have some footage here of people being evacuated from Davos. People going out the back door, going down some stairs, people coughing, some firemen going up the stairs, lots of people. Yeah, walking in the snow. Yeah, Squidly Ink in the chat makes a good point. Probably sulfur. Yeah, the Davos ritual is probably the fissure that opened up in the ritual chamber. The sulfuric
abyss opens.
fumes, like the oracles of Delphi. They have to breathe the volcanic fumes to see into the future. The timing was a little bit off on this. So there you go. Any more information comes there. Was it this year or was it last year that there was also a fire at Davos? I want to say that there was
a couple years ago. It feels like a couple years ago.
Let's see here. Fire.
It might have been a year ago. I know they've been
people posting it earlier this year. Earlier this week, but I thought maybe it was a repost from previous years. But there was, at least in the past couple of years, a fire broke out sort of in the I don't know what to call it, reception hall. That place just the fire wants to burn at Davos. Oh yeah, this year there was a footage of I think like a waiter or some staff knocked over a coffee machine, and the burner that was keeping the coffee hot set fire to the carpet and the drapes that they had to put out this year. So yeah, fire just really yearns to spread at this event.
Well, it's funny because we just had the news a few days ago about the Bank of England, or former analysts at the Bank of England warn about the market crash if they reveal aliens. And I saw a few people posting memes like, hey, aliens, they're all at Davos. Just blow up Davos. And we'll have peace on Earth. But get Trump out of there, because we like Trump. So, that's my vibe. So, we'll see.
Speaking of which, there was an exciting moment, I think it was yesterday, it could have been the day before during last show, where Air Force One took off from, I think, Andrews Air Force Base on the East Coast there, got a few miles off the coast of the Atlantic, and then flight tracking showed Air Force One turned back to land at Air Force Base Andrews, and the president was transferred to a new plane. Now, they claim there was just minor electrical problems on that flight, but of course they would say that. So a hectic time, and it seems to, it makes sense that somebody, whether they be physical or spiritual, would try to make as much trouble as possible, because I will say this Davos has had a totally different vibe from every single Davos we've covered. It was notable that in last year's Davos, there was one or two American presenters who they seemed to allow them to air populist grievances.
Wasn't
You remember
Tucker
this?
Carlson? Who was there?
No,
I forget who it was.
that was my prediction after last
Oh, that was your
Davos.
prediction.
I
Okay.
publicly
All right.
predicted. I didn't say that it would be 2026, but I would say soon, in the next couple of years, Tucker Carlson will show up. It is, after seeing how this Davos has gone, it is a little surprising that he's not there. But who knows? Maybe he's there secretly, meeting with Putin or something. So anyway, let's see. Let's just get some clips out of the way here. This kind of is a fun little vibe set from Donald Trump, just to see, get an idea of the kind of energy he's arriving in. One notable detail is that many reports say that Donald Trump showed up with a delegation of 300 delegates to show up at Davos. And these delegates can be anybody from, various cabinet members, various other, government workers, but also lobbyists, stuff like that. He basically showed up with an army of 300 delegates, which has an interesting kind of connection to, the story of the 300. Remember that movie, The Spartan 300?
Yeah, of course. Sparta, this is Sparta. Yeah, the whole thing, of course.
300 Spartans held off the dark masses of the King Xerxes, who had conquered the world. And
so the Nephilim, by the way, in that film. I don't know if you noticed,
right.
but
He was coming in. So he's coming in with a little 300 vibe here. Here's a little
sword drawn.
Yeah, this set a little bit of the tone.
We will launch a new age. To embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. They are the heirs of yesterday's foolish fortune tellers, and I have them, and you have them, and we all have them. And they want to see us do badly, but we don't let that happen. They predicted an overpopulation crisis in the 1960s, mass starvation in the 70s, and an end of oil in the 1990s. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let radical socialists destroy our economy, wreck our country, or eradicate our liberty. America will always be the proud, strong, and unyielding bastion of freedom.
America.
There you go. America. That's right. And of course, look, we're not here to say that Trump's got everything under control and that he's going to save anybody. However, when we're deconstructing sort of the narrative or watching the fifth generation warfare play out in front of our eyes for the battlefields of the hearts and minds of humanity, this is a pretty significant vibe to bring. Oh, good point. Malik mentioned with the 300 delegates. Yeah, we could also compare that to Gideon's army. There you go. We got a biblical reference and a Hollywood Spartan reference. But interesting, he comes up, he talks about the prophets of doom who want to see us fail so badly, the I don't know, priests of the apocalypse, whatever he said. Which on one hand, if you're biblically minded and you're paying attention to the way things are going to unfold at the end of time, you're tempted to, kind of think, well, we know that will happen eventually. We know that if we are indeed in the end times, these types of things are unavoidable. At the same time, you talk about the lawless one or the various characters in Revelation who seem to save the world, from themselves. This is very kind of along those lines, and simultaneously proclaiming that, hey, look, the prophets of doom or whatever, they made all these other predictions about the end of the world in the 70s, the end of the world in the 90s. All they do is talk about the end of the world, specifically because they want to take complete control. And these are all things that we can agree with, just sort of fundamentally. An interesting connection there, just with our joke earlier about the oracle at Delphi and the sulfuric vapors coming up in the chamber. It was the oracles at Delphi who were the sort of prophets and oracles of the end of many of empire in that sort of, I guess, lineage of either mythology or history. So a bit of a strong statement, strong opener here from Trump. You have any thoughts on that before we jump into some other things?
Not really. I mean, I guess Trump spoke last year via video. I think it was remote. He had a special address. And then also last year, Javier Milei from Argentina, he was one of the speakers. And remember, he was just taking over Argentina and he was making a big splash. So yeah, we saw some of that. And then, some sentiment, just to drop this in here, because something I noticed was a lot of people saying how Borg and BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, during the introduction on Monday, were saying that, hey, we're losing trust of the public. We need to regain the trust. And everyone's saying, oh, Davos trying to regain our trust. But it's funny how people freak out now. And I'm glad more people are looking at these types of things. But it was 2024 Davos when their theme was rebuilding trust in the future. And if they're up there in Davos 2026 saying we need to build trust, they've lost trust for the elite and all this stuff, it means not only have they not made any progress, it's probably gotten worse for these folks in the last 2 years. Because it's the same message there. So I mean, for Trump to actually show up though with 300 of his closest confidants or whatever, a flex, and yeah, it's like a dictator mafia guy stepping in. He's just showing everybody who's boss around here. Who's daddy.
Well,
so.
Notable also that he was not president last year on Davos, so it would.
Right. It was. Are you sure? It was. Oh yeah, it might have been right during because when did he get inaugurated? 21st, right?
Davos is early in the year. Yeah. So.
But it's.
I see what you're saying.
It might be like the week of or the week. I mean, he probably did the remote address last year.
Or January 20th. I think maybe that's why he Skyped in, because he was the president-elect, but was not yet.
Right.
Whatever.
He was busy. He was busy pumping Trump coin, is what he was doing.
Biden was president at the current time of Davos, I believe.
Okay.
They Skyped him in because he was, the upcoming president. Anyways, just one topic here, of course, in connection with Venezuela and some of the reports we saw about, America's directed energy weapons and stuff like that. He did come in, gotta mention, he came in, talked about, all the new cool alien technology that he's going to use to conquer the world or Greenland or something. Here's a short clip about that.
So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess.
So he's referencing here Venezuela, And the
Yeah,
story
well,
from
that's
the
weird.
security guard, there's all sorts of bits to this story. Trump
Right.
tells a part of the story here where, this was a big part of the narrative after Venezuela, was that China and Russia had both provided all sorts of defensive weapons to Venezuela, specifically for this thing, missile
Oh,
systems,
that's the
radar
context. Sorry.
systems, stuff like that. And what he's referring to is the U.S.'s ability to render Russia's missile systems ineffective. In this case, he is at least telling a story of a Russian anti-aircraft missile getting launched by the Venezuelans, the missile only getting about 30 feet in the air, and then being, in his words, discombobulated, and the missile falls back down. We also heard stories of the Chinese radar systems that were supposed to be able to see, not cloaked, but radar deflecting American aircraft. But the way he describes it, the discombobulation and the story about the missile falling out of the sky, is kind of interesting because it kind of reminds me of the various stories now of UFO sightings by various military installations where, there's as the story goes, there was a nuclear scare where either Russia or the US or something, they were launching a missile or preparing to launch a missile, and then a UFO showed up and then just disabled the entire weapon system. We heard some of this in Ukraine as well, when the UFOs were showing up on the battlefield and just kind of neutralizing various pieces of technology or various weapon systems. And, the kind of assumption or the narrative was that, these UFOs, they're showing up and they're saving us from ourselves. They're not letting us nuke other countries because they're helping us, avoid destroying the earth or something like that.
So the famous ones.
No, go ahead.
Oh, there's a couple. The two famous ones is the Maelstrom Air Force Base in Montana, 1967. There was a claim of a missile shutdown where there's a guy named Robert Salas. He came out and he said there was a glowing object and the missile was a no-go. The glowing object kind of disarmed it, or that's the claim. And then, of course, the more famous one is the 1980 UK Rendlesham Forest. There were, nukes that were allegedly going to be released or, testing or something like that. And then the UFOs disarmed those. So that's kind of the pattern. The two of the famous ones. I think there might be one more in Russia, like a story in Russia or something, but those are the two that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, those are kind of the most famous.
The main ones, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have this reference again in sort of fifth generation conjunction with the stories coming out of Venezuela. Trump kind of making the statement like, we have alien technology. Don't mess with the US because we've got alien technology, which you've heard of before, but now we have it. Or maybe the UFOs are fighting on our side or something.
Well, I mean, according to Alex Jones,
We're made by the aliens.
so it makes sense that our makers would give us all the toys,
which is all not necessarily new to our sort of genre. However, having this being stated by the president of the United States at Davos in a sort of in a context,
a
context of warning the rest of the world leaders that we have alien technology, he's definitely bringing a vibe. He's bringing
that is, it's interesting because Trump is so loud and boisterous about his when he's trying to make a point or emphasis. With this, he was very calm. It's almost like I don't know, his countenance was maybe even more threatening if you're another nation looking at this, like, oh, he's really confident about this technology. We really should back down, So interesting.
Along those lines, I'm gonna skip the clip with James Okeefe. It's very long and kind of boring, but there are clips of James Okeefe. He has gone undercover at Davos, which is kind of interesting.
He looks ridiculous too. He's got a wig on the whole time.
And he's got some various videos, some content coming out where he's going around talking to various politicians and lobbyists and other people there, talking to them about geoengineering, weather modification. In this particular clip, there's not like a huge hammer hitting the nail moment, but you do hear a lot of these world leaders kind of talking glowingly, admitting that geoengineering is real and that governments do it and stuff like that. So you can go check that out.
There is a part of me that on this particular topic, I get like your normie kind of friend is probably still skeptical of this stuff, but they've been talking about this for there is so much public documentation. There's companies from other countries trying to make technology, or I guess just a company, to do this type of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
we always the last year. This was a big topic.
Yeah, but even but even in the last like 15 years that we've been doing it, there was that guy, I forget his name, but he was on with Jon Stewart before Jon Stewart was uncool, and then now he's cool again, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy was talking about spraying sulfur in the air to control the climate and stuff like that. So I mean, this has been around for so long.
Of course.
It's just now people are
but the last year or so, it really made it to the public.
Thanks, TikTokers. Thanks, 30-second TikTok video makers, for distributing the truth.
So there you go. There's some James Okeefe stuff you can take a look at if you'd like, folks. Now, on the topic of defense, military, stuff like this, this was a clip of the Finland president. I brought the shorter clip. The broad context of the clip is he's on a panel, and this is particularly about what would Europe do without the United States, being in charge of the defense of Europe. The United States' role in NATO, the United States' role as basically defender of Europe, defender of Canada. Right. And a reporter, it's going to compare two clips here. Both of these clips happened in the exact same event. So it's just a fun moment, I guess, reflecting
side by side.
Yeah, reflecting the what's the word? The contention that the European leaders might be feeling right now.
First is a direct answer to the question of this panel: can Europe defend itself? My answer is unequivocally yes.
Without the Americans?
Without the Americans. I mean,
how?
Well, look.
You've said earlier that Europe can defend itself without the Americans. If it comes down,
not exact. That's not a quote.
More or less. More or less.
Let's.
We'll go back to the transcript.
This is the same panel.
Same panel, minutes apart.
Oh, let's play that again from the beginning.
Yeah,
here.
Play it again. You can hear the edit in the middle, and it switches over to her asking the same question. And there's a little fun punchline at the end, so we can play it all the way through.
First is a direct answer to the question of this panel: can Europe defend itself? My answer is unequivocally yes.
Without the Americans?
Without the Americans. I mean,
how?
Well, look.
You've said earlier that Europe can defend itself without the Americans. If it comes down,
not exact. That's not a quote.
More or less. More or less.
Let's.
We'll go back to the transcript. More or less. More or less.
I love journalists.
I love journalists.
I love journalists. So he literally, word for word, says, yes, Europe can defend itself without the Americans. Unequivocally, he says. Unequivocally. Very strong, direct, forward statement. In the longer clip, he then goes on to list all of the defenses that Finland has. He says we can conscript 1 million soldiers. We can mobilize 250,000 soldiers.
Sure, they're thrilled about that.
He goes, we have 68, F-16s, fighter jets. And he stops her. He goes, and I know what you're thinking. We can't fly those F-16s without America, like either without America's permission or America's technology or something. And he says, I know what you're thinking. We can't fly those planes without the American permission, but we know that America would let us do it. So we can defend ourselves. So even in his own accounting of his ability to defend his own country, it's dictated by the Americans allowing them to fly the planes.
Oh no, where'd you go? Oh, there you go.
And then minutes later, she goes, okay, well, you said you can unequivocally defend yourself. He goes, no, I didn't say that. And of course, he's going to be paying for this. Now, this is the exact type of, this is the reason that Davos is such a punchline, that it's such a joke, because even when they all get together and they decide, okay, nobody trusts us, okay, so we're gonna say the things, do the things, so people trust us, and then they don't hate their elites, and then they just can't help themselves saying something, and then not even just saying like, oh, I kind of misspoke. That's not, sorry, let me clarify. Like that would have been the real thing to do. But then to just like gaslight, not even, I mean, he's in a room full of people who just heard him say this. It's not even to like,
you can hear the hostess lady say like that's what we do when we hear some inconsistencies. We go,
yeah. And when he tries to pretend he didn't say it, and she said, okay, she's letting him off the hook. She's not.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's not her job. That's not in her job description.
She could have been way meaner about it. So he lets her off. She lets him off the hook, and he goes, oh, I love journalists. Don't you just love journalists? As if journalists haven't been like the main foot soldiers in upholding the gaslighting of Davos and the elites for decades.
Of course they have been. Yeah.
So you better be careful. So you put that side by side with all the defense talk by Trump, and then this guy immediately flip-flopping on his ability to defend himself, etc.
It's like somebody said in his earpiece, or Trump in his earpiece, like, hey, buddy, what did you say there? Be careful what you say. And he's like, oh, I didn't say anything.
And the Europeans, especially Scandinavian European politicians, like they're not really used to getting called on that kind of stuff. Right.
That's true. You're right. I think we've been kind of spoiled a little bit with Trump in terms of the realm of politics, of I don't know, aggressive questioning and very heated sort of press conferences and panels and stuff. Yeah, but you're right. I think a lot of the European leaders have been in a bubble. So this is why they're still talking about we're losing trust and all this stuff. It's like, hey, you guys lost trust a long time ago.
Yeah,
this is not new.
It's interesting you call it a bubble because, like, I don't know, in one way you can think about what's going on at Davos right now as like the popping of this bubble.
The popping of the bubble,
it's sort of very aggressive, violent popping of the bubble. Okay, so just to transition a little bit from weapons and warfare and defense and things like this over to the Board of Peace. Okay, we've had Trump talk about the Board of Peace. Specifically, the existence of the Board of Peace is to make a sort of multilateral coalition of world leaders and other nations to be involved in the decision-making.
Wait, are you not describing like NATO or the UN or something? This sounds like you're just...
Well, exactly. And, the interesting thing is it's specifically in the context of Gaza, right? He wants to, it's all about Gaza. This is a way to like not seem like some crazy dictator who's making decisions for Gaza unilaterally. He wants to get as many people on the Board of Peace as possible. I think even the phrase Board of Peace is very interesting because, you might have the United Nations, very geopolitical, very sort of political language. Board of Peace is like very businessy, there's a board. A corporation has a board.
We popped Davos with Bop.
It's not a coalition of peace, not an alliance of peace. It's a board. This is the language he's used to. And it's funny because it occurred to me over the past couple of days, the more I heard about the Board of Peace, I'm like, okay, it sounds like a businessy corporate, I don't know, kind of like United Nations or something. He's inviting all the same people in the United Nations. And then this clip came out from Trump on the Board of Peace today.
Everybody wants to be on it. But yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence. And if I put all babies on the board, there wouldn't be very much. So He was invited. He's accepted. Many people have accepted. I don't know of anybody that hasn't accepted. But it's going to be great. I think the Board of Peace will be the most prestigious board ever, and it's going to get a lot of work done that the United Nations should have done. And we'll work with the United Nations, but the Board of Peace is going to be special. We're going to have peace. It started off with Gaza, the Middle East. We've got peace in the Middle East, tremendous peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible. And that happened by taking out the Iran nuclear threat. Without that, it could have never happened. But the board is going to be, I think, really fantastic. And I think it'll be the most prestigious board of any board ever in the district. Thank you.
It's going to be great.
Donald Trump, greatest ever. I love the lounge music in the background. It makes it seem so nonchalant. It's just like putting together the next world empire, you know.
So he kind of gives he basically states it outright that, hey, the Board of Peace, look, it'll be better than the UN. We're going to replace the United Nations. You know, they're whatever, they help, but the Board of Peace is really going to be the next UN. Now,
I'm looking at a list of, according to AP, a list of countries that have accepted to agree.
Okay, good. Hold on to that. We're going to look at that in a second. So thank you for finding out. Hold on to it. But he mentioned at the beginning of this clip, he was saying, oh yeah, I asked him, he's going to be on it. It's great. We're happy to have him on it. And then the clipper cut off who that was about. But here's a clip that answers that question.
Are you talking about the Putin clip?
That's right. You got to stop giving away the punchlines to these clips, Gonzo.
Well, it's fine. They're going to find out.
No, it's not fine. This is a podcast, and we set up jokes with punchlines, Gonzo. Play the clip.
Is that what we do? I didn't know that's what we're doing.
Oh, we're obviously not being very effective at it if you keep giving away the punchline to the clip. So everybody pretend you didn't hear that. Just play the clip. Hello. You don't have it on the screen, Con.
It's not playing. Okay,
there you go.
Regarding the Board of Peace, in fact, we did receive a message from Donald Trump inviting us to join this new structure that he initiated. The Board of Peace. Primarily, I would like to thank the President of the United States for this proposal. We always supported, and we have always supported, and we will support any efforts to reinforce international stability. And the current U.S. administration has also been contributing to resolving the Ukraine crisis.
So there you go. Oh, excuse me. Oh, there was one part in there that didn't get included, but Putin even committed to paying, or to, I guess, donate $1 billion to the Board of Peace in order to rebuild Gaza there. So, you know, we got all sorts of people included. We're going to go over that list in a moment, but there was somebody who did not want to join the Board of Peace, and it was a little surprising. But here's Trump responding to a question about that. It's not on the screen, Gonzo.
What? Okay, here we go.
Have you invited President Putin to be a member of the Board of Peace? Yeah, he's been invited. Give me a response to President Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace? Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, you know, that's all right. What I'll do is, if they feel like Costo, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months. Did you invite?
Okay.
Hey, Macron is not joining. He doesn't want to join. And that's not a problem because he's not going to be in charge for very long. And,
well, did you see Macron?
I was going to say, Macron's had some weird things going on. The past week, he has been wearing sunglasses in public every day, everywhere he goes, giving speeches up on the World Economic Forum, walking around at night. He's wearing a pair of sunglasses. When asked about it, he says, "Oh, it's no problem. It's just I have a little problem. It's no big deal." And he just moves on, and everybody's very confused.
Well, you know, There are photos. I don't know if these are real, but yes, I'm showing the photo of him wearing the sunglasses, and it's got footage of him like walking around backstage with the sunglasses. It's all there. But people are sharing. I don't know if this is real, but an image of Macron with not a black eye, but like a blood.
Macron.
No, on the left. On the left.
Oh,
no,
on the left.
It's like a montage of all the.
I see.
Yeah. So it's a montage of all the interesting world leaders who have had like that bloodshot. What is it called when you
broken capillary? I think it is a burst blood vessel.
Right. So I don't know what he's doing, but apparently it's causing some very, very bloodshot eyes.
That guy on the right hand with the crazy eye, that was the interim leader of the World Economic Forum when Klaus got taken down. And then, you show I think it was the Queen on the bottom left with the burst blood vessel, and Biden with a blood vessel there. Yeah, I don't know if that image is correct or not, but it seems like even if that was the case, wearing the sunglasses makes it way worse.
It makes it way worse.
It makes it way weirder and way worse, and makes you look really like, I don't know, like some sort of high school kid or something. He's too embarrassed.
He's trying to appeal to Gen Z. Indoor sunglasses.
The aviator sunglasses is that the Gen Z. They're not with the aviator sunglasses.
Yeah, that was our generation.
You've seen these Gen Zs? They got the tiniest sunglasses that possibly exist. They're super into like super teeny tiny like 90s like Matrix sunglasses that don't even cover the whole eyeball. Very fashionable. All right, you got that list of Board of Peace?
I do. Yes. This is AP News, a list of countries joining Trump's Board of Peace, those not joining and those not committed. So you got this list here. It goes over, it's from Jerusalem, interestingly enough. And so the countries that have accepted to join the board: Argentina, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Belarus, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, Morocco, Pakistan,
the
Qatar.
Joined list is 50 countries, so you might be reading a lot. Oh, and it doesn't seem fit.
I don't think so. I don't think they list. Maybe they don't list all of them, but yeah,
a
Pakistan,
a lot of Middle Eastern.
I think some of the more, I don't know, controversial ones, maybe Qatar, Saudi Arabia, there's Turkey, United Arab Emirates, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam.
A lot of those countries are just happy to be invited. Just happy to
I
be
know,
invited.
yes. Just happy to be involved in any of the conversations. Although, Egypt on that list is very interesting too, considering if, Israel is sort of behind all this. Okay, countries that will not join the board: France, Norway, Slovenia, Sweden. You notice a pattern there, maybe? I don't know. It's interesting. And then the countries that have been invited but remain non-committal: Britain, China, Croatia, Germany, Italy, European Union's executive arm, Paraguay, Russia, Singapore, and Ukraine.
Well, and it shows either how updated this list is, or the bias behind those making the list, saying those who have been invited but remain non-committal, which is another way of saying hasn't answered yet, hasn't responded or haven't whatever. And the fact that Russia is on that list, and we just watched a video of Putin saying, "I'm so excited, here's $1 billion." I don't know if we can trust this particular list, but at least it shows the bias. It's showing that sort of global bias.
Well, if Russia and China hop into a board with Trump in America, I mean, is that not the golden age that he promised? Is that not world peace?
World peace, baby. Peace through business.
We're gonna bop world order, baby. We're fixing everything with 300.
I want to be as prudent as possible, Gans. I will probably make the executive decision that we do not call the Board of Peace the BOP, because of the Urban Dictionary definition of that phrase, which is an online Gen Z phrase. I know you don't. I wouldn't expect you to, but we'll just leave it at that. So we'll call it the Board of Peace.
Hey, listen, this is a look. If anybody's going to redefine acronyms and take a Gen Z, Gen Z slang and make it into international peace, it's Trump. Okay, I don't even care what it means.
Well,
'Cause,
when we see Trump using that phrase, I imagine somebody in Trump's ear told him he probably had it in a speech or mentioned it, off the cuff extemporaneously. And I bet one of his Gen Z,
his son.
advisors or his media, his media team or something was like, let's not use that acronym. We'll leave that one for the kids. All right. Now, with that, the board of peace, we're talking about making peace in Gaza. The language Trump is using is obviously not going to stop in Gaza. He's, referring to replacing the United Nations, et cetera, et cetera. However, one big thing remains to be Greenland. Greenland, a huge topic of conversation, getting everybody all fired up. Here's a couple clips from Trump. We're going to skip the full Greenland. Let's start with this first Greenland clip from Trump here.
I'm hoping this is the right one.
Respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark. Tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. The fact is,
let me just check. Yeah, okay. So that's the long one you got there. We can watch the long one if you want. It's 4 minutes long, but the one before that link is about 1 minute 15 seconds.
In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired, there's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance.
So there's lots and lots of comments from all sorts of people there at WEF about Greenland. Basically, the summary being Trump's crazy. This is against everything we believe in. He wants to rule the world, kind of all the basic things. But he comes in here and he makes, some fairly, again, kind of calm and confident points, meaning, hey, you said you were going to protect it. You're not. This is important. The whole Arctic region is, at risk now. And we have not gone over the details of the whole Arctic situation, but when it comes to missile defense from Russia, that would be the way they would fire missiles. There's also, more importantly, a new trade route that opened up through the Arctic via ice-breaking ships. And for trade to be able to skip going laterally around the entire world, or whatever, the pancake, and to be able to go straight across from the west to the eastern hemisphere in like a matter of days instead of weeks, economically just sort of a huge win. It is currently right now dominated by Chinese and Russian ships, which is, part of the whole Greenland thing. If the United States wants to continue holding its, homogenous power on the high seas, they're making the case that Greenland is sort of required for this. So we'll skip all of the clips. I don't have them on our list here, but you can kind of imagine what the response would be. Now, Trump has had exactly one person not absolutely, pummeling him with, criminal dictator accusations when it comes to Greenland. And so let's check in with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who was mentioned earlier in an earlier clip. But he has a couple attempts here to, I would say, in the context of Trump or in defense of Trump, try to speak some alternative viewpoints. And I think he has some I think recognizable or relatable moments in here.
So statements from me.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
So statements from me will not add anything here. And when it comes to the Arctic, I think President Trump is right. Other leaders in NATO are right. We need to defend the Arctic. We know that the sea lanes are opening up. We know that China and Russia are increasingly active in the Arctic. There are 8 countries bordering on the Arctic. 7 are a member of NATO. That's Finland and Sweden and Norway and Denmark, Iceland, Canada and the US. And there's only 1 country bordering on the Arctic outside NATO, and that's Russia. And I would argue there is a 9th country, which is China, which is increasingly active in the Arctic region. So President Trump and other leaders are right. We have to do more there. We have to protect the Arctic against Russian and Chinese influence. And that's exactly what NATO ambassadors decided to do in September. We are working on that, making sure that collectively will we defend the Arctic region.
Wow.
And let's go right in. Sorry?
I was going to say, that's quite the endorsement.
Yeah. I mean, it's compared to they're kind of in the lion's den right now, and he'll make another comment about that in this next clip as well.
I'm not popular with you now because I'm defending Donald Trump, but I really believe we can be happy that he is there because he has forced us in Europe to step up, to face the consequences, that we have to take care more of our own defense. And here's my question to the audience. I mean, many of you I know criticize Donald Trump, but do you really think that without Donald Trump, 8 big economies in Europe, including Spain and Italy and Belgium, Canada, by the way, also outside Europe, would have come to 2% in 2025 when they were only on 1.5% at the beginning of the year? No way. Without Donald Trump, this would never have happened. They're all on 2% now. Do you really think that in the summit in The Hague, as already Alex was saying, the president of Finland was saying, that we would come to an overall defense spending of 5%, including 3.5% in core defense, if President Trump would not have been re-elected as president of the United States? No way. It would never have happened. So again, I'm not popular with you now because I'm defending Donald Trump, but I really believe we can be happy that he is there because he has forced us in Europe to step up, to face the consequences, that we have to take care more of our own defense.
Wow.
So for those who are just listening, there was a couple times in that clip where it would cut to the president of Finland, who is the guy
who just
the flip-flopper.
Yeah.
And so it'll cut to him listening to Mark Rutte, and he's just got this just deviant, sort of ghoulish Scandinavian grin on his face as he's watching Mark Rutte, defend Donald Trump, specifically on the topic of NATO defense spending, meaning forcing Europe to defend themselves, right? So the guy who said Finland can defend itself unequivocally without the US as long as the US lets us fly their planes or whatever, with this sort of devilish grin as Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, sort of taking Trump's side. And, there's a vibe on that particular clip or that particular rant of his that really kind of I recognized sort of in ourselves, and often what we analyze with Trump, which is, look, you can love him or hate him or whatever, but if you're going to force somebody into saying something positive, whether Trump means to do it or doesn't mean to do it or whatever, just his very presence as this weird sort of chaos magician reveals a lot of stuff that would otherwise stay hidden. This is the same thing that Marina Abramovich says about Trump, which is, whether he means to do it or not, the truth comes out because of Trump's presence. Whether it happens on accident or it just reveals what's hidden, or the goblins come out of the shadows because they are, want to yell at Trump or something, which I thought was really interesting to see on sort of the broad Davos scale there. And so along with that, Trump has this one seeming I guess, ally, or at least whatever, this is a non-enemy in Mark Rutte. And today, just about an hour or two ago, Trump tweeted, or whatever, truth. He says, based upon a very productive meeting that I have had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland, and in fact, the entire Arctic region. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. Based upon this understanding, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect on February 1st. Additional discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome as it pertains to Greenland. Further information will be made available as discussions progress. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and various others, as needed, will be responsible for the negotiations. They will report directly to me. Thank you for the attention of this matter. So that was one of the big things that was really funny. If you're watching in real time the clips from Davos and the just absolutely brutal responses to Trump and Greenland, you just got to wait 5 minutes. Like anything going on with Trump, all you got to do is wait 5 minutes. Suddenly the tariffs are canceled, the deal is getting made, and things are looking up. And then strangely, sulfur starts rising from the floor.
Man, it is the whiplash is just getting wild, man. I mean, 2026. I feel like I've aged 2 extra years between January and today. It's been 3 weeks.
And you know, I said this last Clubhouse, and I hope people continue to come hang out at Clubhouse. Canary Cry Clubhouse is the live show I do on Thursdays, which is much more of like a fellowship, sort of spiritual exploration rather than a news show, which I think is what we all need these days, maybe even more than a news show. It's been very fruitful and positive. But one of the things that really hit me hard last Clubhouse, and kind of went to explore sort of in real time, was 2026, of course, promises to be crazy. 2025 promised to be crazy, and it was crazy. But 2026, I really get this feeling that, of course, with what we know, with the spiritual warfare, the 5th generation warfare, we know that they're really good. And Trump is really good at this also, which is creating situations that the stakes are so unimaginably high that it seems sort of apocalyptic. And the vibe that I'm starting to get through a few of these incredibly high stakes situations this early in the year is that we are tempted to assume that to invest so heavily spiritually and emotionally in just how high the stakes are and how badly things can go. But I think we're going to see a pattern this year where we will learn, whether we like it or not, the good skill of not letting the stakes that are set sort of dictate our experience day to day. Because if we can stop ourselves from investing just so much of our well-being into the narrative of the stakes at hand, we will find that the outcome of many of these, 5-alarm fire situations seems to come out not so bad. Now, I'm not saying they can all that they all have the potential to like turn out good and we go, yay, I'm glad that happened. But the outcome of them seem to be trending towards the best possible outcome, or to put it another way, the best worst outcome, meaning the highest stakes, the sort of existential destruction that we seem to be teetering on with every new development. If we slow down and stop investing in ourselves, or investing so much of ourselves in those high stakes, we might be able to see that things are not going to turn out as bad as we think this year. And that's at least on a scale of these sort of individual narrative emergencies. I just have a feeling that that's going to be the case. And if we can learn to navigate that piece by piece as each one of these apocalyptic scenarios approach themselves, instead of diving headfirst into some sort of catastrophizing. Staying focused on Christ, staying focused on the body of Christ, staying focused on God's mission, and like we've been pointing out with recent apocalyptic sort of situations, where the answer to these high stakes situations is focusing on Christ, declaring the sovereignty of God, in many cases in public on the news, like we saw with Renee Good's family member, like we saw with the pastor at the Don Lemon church raid. Not investing in the apocalypticism, but instead turning and neutralizing that spiritual battlefield by proclaiming Jesus. I think we're going to start seeing things work out in a way that they do not want us to expect. And it's all because of taking this new sort of spiritual warfare stance. So I'm going to continue to try to do that. I'm pretty optimistic about the year. I'm at least choosing to be optimistic about these things. And I think the more we test this hypothesis, I think the more we're going to appreciate just the way things turned out versus the worst possible scenario that we're being told left and right.
Well, we were promised a golden age, so we're waiting on that. I guess gold pumping to new all-time highs is the golden age.
And something.
But yeah.
One quick note here. With all the myriad of things that that Trump brought to Davos, he also kept bringing a lot of domestic United States issues, which to me, I think just shows that he's taking Davos as the opportunity that it is. I'm sorry. I was about to skip something. Yeah, here's Trump responding to reporters about the Greenland deal.
The USA gets everything we wanted, especially real national security and international security.
How so? Can you give us some details, please?
Well, the deal is going to be put out pretty soon. We'll see. It's right now a little bit in progress, but pretty far along. It gets us everything we needed to get.
Will the U.S. still get Greenland? Will the U.S. still get Greenland, sir?
Hold on. Say it.
What did Mark Rutte say?
Well, he's a great leader. I think he's fantastic. He's Secretary General, who's representing the other side, which is really us too, because very important member of NATO. I've done a lot for NATO. And it's really nice. I mean, it's a deal that everybody's very happy with.
Does it
Sir,
still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you said you wanted?
Oh boy.
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal.
The ultimate long-term deal.
It puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals.
Sir, how important is it for your legacy?
Have you already spoken to other European leaders? Have you already spoken to other European leaders?
Yes, I have.
How long will the deal be, Mr. President?
Infinite.
Did you speak to Denmark?
Reporters are crazy, man.
I could never be a reporter screaming and yelling at these things. Just not me. But yeah, okay, all right. So he's back in the lounge answering questions.
Saying that they asked how long would this deal be for, and he says infinite.
Did he say infinite? I mean, he said a long time. He said
infinite deal at the end there.
Deal. Yeah. This is labeled Trump seeking negotiations to acquire Greenland. By the way, this last clip.
Hopefully it's the right one, but this is the domestic issue here.
Thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states. won the popular vote, won everything, and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open, the inflation was raging, everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and
So he's basically saying that if he wouldn't have lost 2020, the whole Ukraine situation wouldn't have happened, and so forth.
Yeah, so it's kind of his way. You know, I should have actually stopped that earlier, but because there was another clip at the beginning of this, I may have grabbed the wrong one. But he spent some time really doubling down on the rigged election, which would seem whatever. It would seem like just Trump doing what Trump does. However, in the context of Venezuela and Maduro, which even he has mentioned here or there, about the Smartmatic, about the voting machines, about this and that, and being not just a domestic situation in the US, but something that they're seeing all over the place. You know, him kind of out of nowhere bringing up the rigged election situation again, which you'd think even the most, you know, Trump diehards would probably agree that he doesn't necessarily need to keep bringing that up, whatever reason he has for doing that, you know. But in the context of Venezuela and in the context of Davos here, it seemed like much more of a statement to those on the sort of globalist stage. I don't know. It just seemed like it had more behind it. Like this isn't over. Okay, I'm not dropping this. Or who knows where else this is sort of relevant in the world.
I think this was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, this clip, or maybe even Monday. And so I think it was a lot of the Hillary stuff had not necessarily hit the news yet. So maybe that's why he was saying it's breaking news.
Good point. Maybe it was a little lead up to that.
Right.
Okay, I'm looking at the time, guns. I'm just
gonna. Yeah, we're cutting it pretty close. I did want to share this real quick. It's a 10-second clip. It's a little montage of Trump talking about Macron and his sunglasses. This is pretty funny. Hold on. Yep, there we go. Here it is.
Emmanuel Macron. I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses. What the hell happened?
And on the video, it's got Macron on the bottom half of it, you know, with the sunglasses.
Yeah, with the sunglasses.
Doing his little speech there. Good times, good times. Okay.
Well, this next section is for you, Gons. I want to make sure and before we let you go here. And this is important because, again, back to domestic issues, we got some Gavin Newsom clips.
Woo!
Governor of California, of course, in the context, he's allegedly trying to run for president in 2028. You might ask yourself, why would the governor of California be going to Davos? Well, you know, he's got to get some cool sound bites and stuff if he's going to run.
He's a podcaster now. He gets to go rub shoulders and, you know, be with the elite here.
I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes that are being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look on the world stage. I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing. It's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. I've seen this in the United States, the supine Congress playing both sides, you know, saying one thing on a text or a tweet, another publicly. It's time to have principle. It's time to stand tall and strong. It's time to stand united. You make that determination. I don't make that determination.
When you say standing
Collectively. Well, this is diplomacy with Donald Trump. He's a T-Rex. You mate with him or he devours you. One or the other. And people need to...
Wait a minute. Dude, only a reptilian Sith would compare somebody else, his political enemy, to a reptilian, an ancient giant reptile.
You mate with him or you kill him.
Mate with him or you kill him.
It sounds like he's about to cry. I mean, it's totally
what is going on
very
here?
bizarre.
So wait, well, that's his options there. But according to Gavin, you got to either mate with him or kill. Okay.
The other. And people need to stand, but no, the Europeans could be if they continue down this path and process. They need to stand tall, stand firm, stand united. Look, this a year ago we should have been having this conversation, and they didn't. Okay, and now you're paying the price. Exactly what anyone objective observer would have anticipated we'd be where we are today.
It's Newsom science, baby!
He's just losing his mind. And I love it because he's like, we need to stand united. Europe needs to stand united. And the reporter asks, what does that mean? What do you mean stand united? He goes, I don't know. You decide. What is it?
What is this clown?
And
how is he?
I mean, it's funny too, because he's obviously just so upset that Trump is, I guess, having so much success here at Davos, and that, you know, anybody would say anything that's not calling him a T-Rex or something. You know, he's in real time, his presence at Davos not going the way that he had hoped it to go. And that is obvious even more so with this clip of Scott Bessent, who is Scott Bessent is our Treasury Secretary.
Yes.
And he had some words for Gavin Newsom.
I think it's very, very ironic that, you know, Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros. And the Davos is a perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry. And I'm sure the California people won't forget that. And I can tell my message to Governor Newsom is the Trump administration is coming to California. We are going to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse. And I was told he was asked to give a speech on his signature policies, but he's not speaking because what have his economic policies brought? Outward migration from California, a gigantic budget deficit, the largest homeless population in America, and the poor folks in the Palisades who had their homes burned down. He is here hobnobbing with the global elite while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. He is too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything.
Thank you very much.
Let me know if you need any further clarification.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
One last thing here. There was an update before the show with Gavin Newsom regarding Davos and some of his attempts to participate.
A statement posted on X just moments ago, the governor's office writes, quote, under pressure from the White House and State Department, USA House, which is a church acting as the official U.S. pavilion, is now denying entry to Gavin Newsom to speak with media after Fortune invited him to speak, end quote. Now, remember, the governor was invited to speak at an event at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. President Trump went there and spoke earlier this morning. In an interview with CNN, Governor Newsom called Trump's speech, quote, remarkably insignificant. Now, here at Case Area 3, we are working to still gather more information about why the governor may have been blocked from speaking.
He got blocked from speaking?
He got blocked from speaking. He was supposed to present there in the U.S. pavilion, which is, you know, kind of the venue where the U.S. will put on all their Davos events there. and he's not allowed to go, apparently. His press office claims that it's because of Trump, but who knows? He's going there because he wants to get some cool sound clips for his 2025 presidential run, but it's not working out so good.
I think he's trying to manufacture the martyr syndrome or some kind of because if before it was get Trump off of YouTube, shut off his Twitter, that whole thing happened with Trump in 2016. So maybe he's trying to do a say, oh, they shut me out of Davos. They shut me. Because listen, if you're like a truther, if Newsom's people have done their market research, they know that most people in the world are not fans of Davos. So I can see the Newsom science, the Newsom math being, oh, if I get banned from speaking at Davos, oh, they're going to love me. They're going to think that, oh, they're suppressing the truth or something like that. I don't know. This is me trying to create some kind of logic for Newsom. Or he threw a tantrum and he's, he's pointing. He's just too mean. He's too slimy.
And it could very well be that Trump, told the pavilion he's the executive of the country. And if the president tells you to not let Gavin in, then you're not going to let Gavin in. I mean, that's just how it goes. So whether it was a Gavin scheme, which I really don't think it was a Gavin scheme.
I don't think it's a Gavin scheme.
Gavin really, if he's given a choice to strategize, he is going to say, no, me speaking is going to be way better than me not speaking. I can speak my way into the presidency. Look at me go. I've been doing so good so far with my shaky voice and my dinosaur metaphors.
He did say in that his knee pad analogy and all that kind of stuff, how Congress and these politicians say one thing, do another, the hypocrisy. And I'm glad Scott Bessent pointed out the French Laundry thing, because that'll never leave him. That was like if you still support him after that, that's a you problem.
Yeah, nor should it. Right. That's the kind of short-term memory stuff that you are required to have, a short-term memory like that, or a selective memory. But if I'm being nice, it's just a short-term memory. If you're going to vote for Gavin, or if you're going to be a Democrat in 2026, you are required to have some sort of, brain injury that makes you forget everything 5 years ago. But there you go. Gavin's not having as good of a day over there as I think he was hoping.
It's too bad. It's too bad. Hopefully he can come back to sunny California and keep complaining.
Well, that's just about all the fun. There was one article, I'll just give you the headline. This was very interesting in the context of where everything landed with Greenland. If you note some of the Board of Peace countries that did not want to be on the Board of Peace, the Telegraph, this was 19th, so this was a couple days ago. Norwegians told to prepare for wartime property seizures. And it says here, Norway has issued thousands of letters to citizens warning that the army may have to seize their homes and vehicles if war breaks out with Russia. Norwegian military officials said the letters were an advanced warning to those with assets that may need to be requisitioned. The requisition policy covers vehicles, boats, machinery, and property, and around 13,500 preparatory requisitions were issued Monday, valid for 1 year. Thanks. So the governments of Norway has just told 13,000 people, like, hey, we're going to take your house, we're going to take your car, we're going to take your boat. And the details of the article go on to say that they don't have to pay anybody anything. They don't need to give these citizens anything for the use of their stuff. They simply just kind of take it and they're on their own. Well, it's Norway, so they probably have some sort of, warehouse that they'll let their citizens live in while they steal all their stuff. So just kind of a weird Davos related update. It was earlier on, so we'll see if that follows through.
Yep. Okay. I think we gotta shut it down.
I think so. I think we did an amazing job of actually getting through all the content before you're hard out here. So we're going to get going. I'm going to keep this very, very short, but I want to make sure to thank our executive producers. We are value for value, which means, we don't get any money for nothing except for the value our listeners and viewers get. They turn around. They know that we can't do another one without the support of their time, their talent, their treasure. People come in, they support any individual episode like this for $100 or more. They're an executive producer. So we'll thank our executive producers, starting with Andres VO. Andres VO. Thank you very much, executive producer Andres. And he comes in for a nice round number and just leaves a short note that says blessings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And then, of course, we had Sir LX Protocol V2 Baron of the Brian Protocol come in.
Oh, Sir X Protocol. Whoa, what is going on with my microphone? Where is my Sir Alex jingle? I was not ready. Here it is. I'm assuming it was $100.33.
That's right. Comes in for $100.33.
And what streak?
456 episode streak and a 110 executive producer streak. Thank you. And we also have executive producer Raul S. coming in. Thank you very
Raul
much.
S. Thank you.
Yes, and he comes in for a nice round number. And I'm just making sure. I don't think I saw a note with him, but thank you very much, Raul S.
Thank you, Raul.
And we had some producers come in under the executive producer amount, starting with producer Michael B.
Michael B. Thank you, Michael B.
Came in a nice round number, so we won't disclose that. Next up, we have regular producer Marty B came in.
Marty B. That's Sir Marty B. Yeah,
Marty being out of the base.
Thank you.
We have producer Hunter G comes in.
Hunter G. Like Hunter G. Thompson. That's Hunter S. Thompson. Sorry.
Hunter G says, came in a nice round number. And it says, wish I could afford to give more someday soon, eh? Thanks for being a light in the dark, my friends. Well, thank you very much, Hunter.
Appreciate it. Praise God.
That's right. We have producer Bruce W came in for 1111.
Bruce W. 1111. Thank you, Bruce W.
And of course, we had CageRattlerCoffee.com come in. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com, folks. Get that coffee.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
That's right. It's for Canarians, by Canarians. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. Get that coffee. A portion of every bag comes to support the show. And the discount code New Year, one word, New Year, is still active through January. So go get that 10% off. It's a blast. Join the subscription. It's all good stuff over there.
Love it.
Just to jam through our streakers for this week. These are people who come in under the $7.77 mark. But they keep it coming every episode, so they're on big long streaks, like Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman with 180 episodes in a row.
Ooh, thank you.
We have Veronica D on 539 episodes in a row.
Veronica D, thank you. Yeah. You know what? You said 180 for Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman?
Uh-huh.
We got to give her the 177 then, because I think we didn't play that.
Oh, yeah, we would have missed it.
I love these little guys. What do you think the viability of a large-scale emu ranch would be? I just don't take myself seriously, and you shouldn't take me very seriously either.
Not sure what that has to do with 177, but fun
177
anyway.
Space Cowboy jingle.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Sir Scott Knight of Truth is on a 588 episode streak.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
And Sir Case of the Shield Knight on a 593 episode streak.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Thank you very much. Go to what am I saying? Go to canarycry.support, folks, to support the show. We cannot do it without you. Big old shout out to all of our monthly producers as well who come in. They support the show regularly on a monthly basis. We could not do it without them as well. So if it's been a while since you produced the show, or you look back and you recognize, man, I just keep getting so much value from this show, consider becoming a producer at any amount, at any time interval. and we'll be very blessed by that. All right, Guns, we had a couple of ISOs come in. We'll save them for Monday's show, but thank you very much to Caleb for sending those in.
Thank you, Caleb. Yep, they were Davos ISOs as well, and they were for some stories. We may talk about it on Monday. We'll see, because a lot of people sent us that Yuval Noah Harari clip about AI and religion and all that stuff. So we're aware of it, folks.
Mentioned it at the end of last episodes as well. So
yes, we did.
That shows how many people don't listen to the whole episode.
Caleb called out. No, I'm just kidding.
Big shout out to Jade Bouncerson for being our timestamper.
Yes, thank you, Jade Bouncerson. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much to Jam, who heads up the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42, who heads up the Discord channel. If you want to get connected, join the Canarians in some of these spaces online, go to canarycry.party. You'll see the invite links for those there. Thank you to Joe for all your feedback. Thank you to Clank for clanking. Thank you to Sir Ike for all the things you do. Couldn't do it without you guys. And a big old shout out to everybody who shares the show. Sharing it with their friends, sharing it with their family, sharing it with their dogs. All you got to do is just I don't know, send your dog a link. Just text your dog, tell them to listen to the show. It's very important. If we could get that dog market, that would really boost the numbers. Although I'm not sure how dogs, how apt they are to actually produce the show. So I don't know, but do whatever you got to do. We call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, you got any last words?
Yeah. Since the Board of Peace, the BOP, I figured it out. It's B-op. Like be the op, be op.
So
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So that's real value we found there, everybody. You would not get that anywhere else, I promise you. So there you go. All right. I'm going to be doing Canary Cry Clubhouse tomorrow. Don't miss out. Man, this week flies by. Davos week always flies by. So thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
And a resounding baga flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. You have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. You have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cried,